Oh, okay. All right. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Roundup. It's Bertram Lansico. Have a lot of connections, been away for at least a week or so. So if this is our first time meeting, you see my face here and my voice. Hello, this is how I look, this is how I sound, and it's a pleasure to have you here. We haven't had the Roundup last week, and we didn't have the Roundup last week. We've tried our best to have it weekly as I was traveling. And within that traveling being in Alabama, it was a fantastic client visit. We had a lot of fantastic things going on. Um, you know, signed paperwork with a renowned talent letterhead on it. Um, Great and fantastic, but we have more details to come. So I was planning to have an announcement and to make that here very soon. Um, could possibly happen, but that's not going to happen today. Okay, let today just be about the roundup and with us, just jumping into sharing about open jobs and opportunities, networking, and all of those things. It's really been a whirlwind. As when I first started the roundup, I think it was around November of last year. Just had a chance to talk to subject matter experts and get them involved as to sharing their journey, and for a lot of folks, especially those who are newly credentialed or less experienced, to really try their best to figure out how it works, how people got to work, how people really got their first job in their experience, and how subject matter experts got to the place of being subject matter experts. And it's been fantastic, but I think we need to go into a lab, meaning we probably need to take a little break for a little bit because Renown is going to be doing a lot of things. So our summer is going to be extremely busy. And with that, we're probably going to have more roundup style events around the service lines that we're launching. And with the roundup, it would probably be good for us to have a season or at least a period of time that we try to do, let's say, some more, you know, evening type of roundups to accommodate people that are working full time or can't always catch or always in lunch and learns kind of thing, as well as maybe perhaps have some more CEU opportunities. I'm not saying that's always going to be the case, but I'm looking to have more collaborations and more partnerships that can offer that to round up guests. So yeah, just allow us to do that. I am also leaving to go with my family to Korea, so I'll be there for the summer, and we leave in a few weeks. And if you're like me or my family, it does take a while to pack. And of course, working full time, the kids have their own schedules and all of that. So my appreciation, my thank you to any avid viewers of the roundup. It's funny, the roundup, we almost like self-sacrifice our audience. And well, Birch, what are you talking about? So we have a lot of folks that come to the roundup that don't have experience and don't have those first-time jobs, right? They don't have those entry-level jobs, but being part of the roundup, they're being enlightened. I see light bulbs flashing, they're getting those gems, and then they're getting jobs, and then they can't attend the roundup because they're getting jobs. So that was always the goal of the roundup, to educate and provide a better networking opportunity with folks out there. And that's just something that we've done and we've accomplished. Unfortunately, we were not it wasn't shared to us as many of the wins that our audience was having, so it was almost pretty much impossible for us to track. But I can go back to Yida, Rivka, and just so many folks that watch the roundup regularly that were able to get their jobs and opportunities. And as I would always encourage them to do, continue doing what you were doing that got you those jobs, because they're going to be the same thing that's going to get you your next job, your next opportunity. Those speaking events, your subject matter expertise is going to grow. Maybe you or your partners and friends are actually, opening your own business lines and different things and gaps that you see in our marketplace. So I think it's going to be fantastic. And I appreciate each and every one of you for hanging it out and learning and growing with me, even with some of my gaffes and typos on the presentation over the last few months. But yeah, it's definitely time for us to go into the lab, give it a little break, and then see how it goes. Okay. I'm in Clearwater, Florida. We are back to regular Florida weather. It says it's like 75, 80 degrees, but it feels like it's 95. The humidity is up and it gets hot. But you know what? That's what we do in Florida, right? I see Christy, thank you for attending the roundup. Hey, Margaret, these are some more of my recent connections. And Christy said that she's been in the roundup since November, and you're looking forward to season 2, and we're looking forward to you attending for season 2 as well. All right, so today is going to be fun packed. We have Dr. SK, I like to call her Shakera, Moreland, and she's going to be sharing with us some career tips and strategies. And she works a lot with those folks that are just transitioning. So let's say you're going from banking. Let's say you're doing something else within healthcare. You're getting involved in revenue cycle. She's the kind of person that would personalize a career package for you as to how you can, what you need to do, what you need to take, what certifications you need to get, who you need to know. And we actually have some common connections that I'm going to share and we're going to talk about, because that person was very impactful in her life, was impactful in mine. Shakera's in the backstage. She's like, Bertrand, what are you talking about? It's all going to go down live on the Roundup, as we like to do. Okay. So just as a little recap. So we have this as a networking opportunity for employers, employees, SMEs, vendors, recruiters, hiring managers, and revenue cycle. So we can all network and learn more about the industry from subject matter experts. Okay, fantastic. I have this little, what I call the sizzle, or what we used to call at one of my old jobs, the sizzle. And the sizzle is a format that we use. And you know what? Let me go to LinkedIn so I can make sure everybody gets it. So the sizzle essentially is what companies would use, because, we can send resumes, right? But we want a snapshot as to somebody's experience, as to somebody's background, and all of those things. So we would put essentially name, credentials, skill set type, location, and years of experience, and what they're good for, what they're looking for. And we would share that with other, recruiters, hiring managers, and account executives. So I'm going to put this on here. But I see that it only went to YouTube for some reason through the platform that I'm using. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm up on the main page. Just as a little disclaimer, if I do not happen to see your comments, it's not because I do not want to share your comments. Unfortunately, not all of the comments come through on this platform that we're using. The platform is fantastic, but for some reason, for example, LinkedIn, it doesn't like to pull all of the LinkedIn ones. I have no idea how we can possibly fix that. And I don't want to disconnect YouTube, because this automatically records to YouTube for anybody that needs to watch a replay or watch it YouTube style or in the background while they're doing something. They're able to do that. So I don't want to get that disconnected, but for some reason, not all of them come through. So that just has a little heads up. So if I miss your comment, I'm not just like ignoring you. My apologies. It just doesn't happen to show up. And what we're going to do, I'm going to go towards the end of the presentation. I'm going to go and highlight anybody that's looking for an opportunity and that's open to sharing. And please try to include some form of contact information. We do have recruiters and hiring managers that watch the Roundup, and they do go through and, through those comments. Nice thing about this as well, for those hiring managers and recruiters, you can go through the comments and the links are there to whoever comments, to the people that made those comments. So if you want to reach out to them directly, DM them directly, you can do that. So that's a fantastic platform. So I did put that on LinkedIn as well as on YouTube. If you don't see it on LinkedIn, just refresh this page and you should see in the comments. But just share with us your background if you're looking for an opportunity. So as I mentioned, we're going to talk to Shakera and Dr. SK about our background, and hopefully towards the end of that, share some tips as some trends that she sees in our workplace, as well as share open jobs and opportunities, go into Mr. B Asks a Question, as well as a candidate showcase and open networking at the end. All right. So Dr. Moreland, she's been involved in our space for a while. She's a content creator, speaker, and connector. She leverages academia and healthcare experience. And that's one of the things we were talking before the roundup started. She really wants to, I guess your calling is to help us fill the gap. Like going from schooling, okay, here it is, going from schooling to actually getting the job, right? And she wants to help build that bridge, right? But she addresses also a lot of socioeconomic factors that impact health and our ability to get those jobs. And through courses, coaching, and mentorship, she guides HRM professionals to their careers and aligning their talents. And I think that's really what it's all about. When I looked to being a recruiter, it wasn't just this pipe dream that I had and like, hey, I'm just going to do this because I felt like it. I really dove in deep as to what I'll be good for, what I'm passionate about. And I did more self-reflection rather than just going out there. And I think if I'd done that when I was actually looking at my marketing career or lack of marketing career, because I only did it for a year, it probably helped out a little bit. But I was glad that I still did it anyway, because I wanted to be within the business side of things, right? That was kind of like my calling. So yeah, definitely it helps to look within. So whether folks are seeking advice or do-it-yourself learning, she offers tailored solutions for career transitions, professionals, and of course, growth. So to the roundup, let me bring her on to the stage. we have Dr. S.K. Moreland. Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
We are doing fantastic, and thank you again for being on the roundup. You were nervous, but I'm like, what are you nervous about? Come on, you should be like out
I'm so
there.
nervous. It's been a minute. I took a little break for a little bit. So, this is
Yeah,
nice to be back and get back on the horse. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
absolutely. Thank you for coming, and thank you for, not necessarily coming for me, but coming for the audience, because that's what it's really all about, right? It's about
Absolutely.
us serving this audience and giving them the tips, the tricks, and just sharing the stories so they can have those gems, I like to call them, or those ideas. Be like, wow, maybe that's something I should do, or maybe that's some way that I should go about it. So let's go way back when. Right, way
Oh,
back
goodness.
when, not the Flintstone years, but way back when you were getting started in HIM. How did you come across HIM and revenue cycle?
Oh, nice. So I have to start by going back to like when I first started in healthcare. So
Okay.
actually, I just knew that I wanted to get in healthcare because I'm like, look, when I become an adult, I want to be able to work in an area where, there's some security there.
Okay.
So healthcare, I love helping people. So I'm like, okay, let me get into the healthcare field. So I actually networked with someone in my local church, and she happened to be a human resource director for this new hospital in the Dallas Fort Worth area.
Okay.
And yeah, she was able to put me in front of some hiring managers, and I got my first start in healthcare as a health unit coordinator. So in that role, I dealt a
Wow.
lot. Yeah, that was tough. So it was very patient facing. So I dealt with patients and their family members, being on the hospital floor, and it was a surgical unit, so there was always movement going on. So that was when I first got my first introduction to healthcare. I
Okay.
remember one day I was actually working and reading through the organization's newsletter. Please look at those newsletters if you have any at your organization. And I just happened to see this picture. It was like this group of people, and there was one person that stood out to me from the crowd, and her name was Shauna Ridley. And I said, I don't know who this lady is, but her smile is radiant. She's calling to me. So, I did the bold thing, which is something I always do. Is I try not to be afraid of things, and I just sent her a
Hmm.
code. I was like, hey, you seem interesting to me. I want to know what you do, and you know what's your place in the organization. Turns out she was a systems director for that hospital. Her name was Shauna Ridley, and the rest is kind of history. From there, I learned more about HIM through what she did through her department there, and then I started to go to school to learn more about medical billing and coding. Then I wanted to expand a little bit, so I went to WGU um, to get my degree. And from there, that's kind of like how I got my foot in the door. I started working for a doctor's office as a
Hmm.
medical records clerk, as well as a patient prior authorization representative. And if you've ever worked in a doctor's office, it's one of those roles where you kind of do everything. So
Yes.
I did the scheduling, I did the prior authorization, the medical records, the back billing stuff. I was doing a little bit of everything. After
Wow.
that, I got my RHP. But then I found that, they still didn't want to give me more money because I had that. So it kind of forced me to move around. So I think that that's a problem that I see a lot of people that come to me have. They're usually like in a doctor's office and they don't know what to do after they've kind of completed their degrees or got their certifications. And from there, it
Mm.
kind of took off.
Awesome. Awesome. And we were connected somewhat because so we started our staffing arm of Renown Talent a year or so ago. So before that, just doing direct placements. And one person that we got in contact with was Miss Ridley. Okay. So we got in contact with Miss Ridley, and she was at her employer. But then we saw a post that that she passed, and then I saw a post from you that she passed. I'm like, no, like you are serious. Like no, like I didn't believe it. I was so
Yeah.
shocked because we talked to her, I think like 3 or so weeks before, everything was fine. And I remember the person I was working with and her were on the phone, and she was like, you know what, guys, I'm going to fight for you because I'm all about the underdog. I'm all about helping you guys out. And I'm like, and it wasn't even about like a minority to minority thing. She was just like, I love what you guys are about. You guys really want to change the industry and all of this stuff. And it really meant a lot to me. And after I saw the post that you shared about her and how she's always been a champion for those who are up and coming and helping each and everybody out, because you have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, like these people at the director level for these large health systems, they have hundreds of employees under them. So when they take the time out of their day to be, let's say, on a podcast or to speak with you or to go to an event, I mean, it's not just time is money. It's like they could be doing a lot of things with that time, and they're in charge of a lot of people. So, it was unfortunate to hear about that, but it's really interesting how like you reached out to her and she didn't necessarily like brush you off or anything. Like she really spent that time and she helped you. So that's awesome.
Yeah. She was instrumental to my career. So,
Hmm.
I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for her. Honestly, I would not. She was able to, once I figured out that this was something that I wanted to do full time and I really wanted to be able to give back to the HIM community, she was behind it 300%. So anytime that she could, forward my name or put my name in front of committees or organizations, she would always do that. One of my
Mm.
first major speaking opportunities was for the DFW AHIMA chapter. And there I
Mm.
was able to give one of my first major presentations, as the HIM concierge. So she was the one who was able to, put me in front of those important people. So it is so important. And we cannot say enough about the importance of having not only a mentor, but also that champion that's going to be behind you.
Yep.
So I think that was the turning point. If I didn't have that mentorship from her, there is no way that I would be where I am today. So I thank
Wow.
the stars for her.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And may her rest in peace, because that's what I keep on telling people. And you know what? Just a quick story. There's a gentleman at my church, young lad, we'll call him. He's a teenager, and he was troublesome. He's troublesome, like always in video games, not coming to church, just, whatever. And then he comes to church and he's like, hey, I'm moving to Texas. Like, what? You moving to Texas? What's going on? I'm going to the school. Okay. Why do you want to go to the school? Well, this company was originally in California. Now they moved to Texas. So now I got to go there. And what's so crazy? He found his champion at school. One of the teachers, a female teacher, called him out and was like, what are you doing? Like, I see this in you. I see this in you. And I see this. And you're not slow. It's called being analytical. You like to dive into the research and do all of this and stuff. And like, he kind of like he woke up in a sense. And it's so interesting that, I think I tried to talk to him without like pushing him about like, hey, what are you going to do? What are you planning? And he came to church and he came back with like all this responsibility. Like, hey, my parents came from Korea. They wanted to provide this life for me. But you know what? I want to be the person to help take care of my family. And I'm like, are you married? You got kids out there? He's like, no, like I want to take care of my mom and dad. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to Texas and I'm going to do it. I'm like totally changed. Point of the story, ladies and gentlemen, find your champion, because
Yeah.
these people, and as you just shared about her, what she did, Miss Ridley, she didn't just help you get that first job. She was with you all throughout the process. Even when you started your business and you wanted to get that first speaking engagement, she probably helped you out or put in a good word for you. And when those people put in words for you, ladies and gentlemen, it's like a done deal. Like they
Yeah.
won't guarantee anything, but they're not going to be like, okay, let me check your references, like where have you worked. They're like, hey, if Miss Ridley put the stamp of approval on you, when can you start? When can you come on board?
Exactly.
So it's like, man, those people can definitely move the mountains for you. But then they also show us that you also need to try your best to help people. So it's interesting, even with your business, that you have, been able to do that. So would you say, just going back to what you mentioned a little minute ago about you really reaching that career ceiling when you're working at the doctor's office, did you start HM Concierge at that point, or what made you or inspired you to start HM Concierge?
No, actually, once I got my RHIA and I moved into a bigger hospital facility, I
Okay.
started working release of information. So I was doing like a quality analyst where I would look and see if the release of information releases, if they were done correctly. Then I moved on to another analyst type of role where I worked with compliance. So I got to deal a lot with the leadership within the hospitals, helping them with their policies and procedures, making sure that they're entering orders correctly because we use Epic. So I wanted to make sure that whenever the doctors put in orders, that they were put in correctly into the system. So I got a little bit of IT information with that. And experience, but I also went back to school because I wanted to get my doctorate. It was just a personal thing for me to do. So long story
Mm-hmm.
short, when I was 18, the day that I got my acceptance letter to Howard University is the day that I found out that I was pregnant with my son. And so
Oh, okay.
So it's going to come together in a minute. I'm always like going back, so just bear with me. Um, but
You got time. You're good.
so, I decided, of course, to be a mother. So I took time away from school because I just wanted to be a mother full time. So one of the goals that I had for myself was just to get a doctorate because I always wanted to do it. So there was no particular reason why I wanted to do it, but I just wanted to do it. So
Nice.
while I was in my role as a quality analyst there, I wanted to know more about, okay, now that I'm completing this doctorate, what is it that I can do with this that's going to, of
Hmm.
course, give me more money? Because although I want the education, I also want the paper to come with it.
Absolutely.
So at that point, I asked my leadership, I'm like, okay, I have all this experience. The people here love me. I get along well with the leadership. I'm getting this doctorate. What else can I do to move up the ladder so I can use more of the skills that I've learned with this
Yes.
degree and these credentials that I have? And they basically told me that there was nothing that they could do. And it was
Mm.
at that point that I had to do a lot of self-reflection and sit with myself and figure out, okay, what is it that I'm going to do next? But I also found that during my period of self-reflection that I had a lot of people that were coming to me. They were asking me, how did you get into this position? How did you do this? I'm like, look, I'm still trying to figure it out. And I have people asking me for my advice on how I got here. To me, I didn't look like I made it, if that made sense, because I was still trying to figure it out. But I had so many people that reached out to me like, wow, you made it. How did you do this? And I'm like,
Yes.
you know what? I found that there were so many people having the same issue that it went towards what can I do to help other people that are in this position to kind of find out where they want to go next.
Oh.
So one of the great things about the position that I was in and being able to learn so much about the different areas of the hospital is that I love talking to people. So I love networking. So although I
Mm.
was not necessarily directly involved with a lot of the different areas within HIM and the revenue cycle, I spoke to a lot of people that were. So I was able to learn about a lot of what was going on within each of those roles just through osmosis, by sitting next to them, by
Mm.
shadowing them, by looking at what they were doing and kind of seeing where some of the gaps were. And then from there, that's when I decided to create HIM Concierge services to be able to provide a way for other new and upcoming professionals to kind of find and navigate their way through the landscape. And yeah, hope that made sense.
Wow. Absolutely. But I also did not realize that you worked in so many different roles. So what I like about your approach is you've done so much at the provider level, at the hospital level, in between speaking. You've done all of these things. You've also gone as far as to get your doctorate as well, right? So, I
Mhm.
mean, you're also talking about like somebody that's experienced, somebody that's educated, and somebody that has had to answer the questions themselves
Yeah.
to now being able to provide that as a service. And you may get somebody from this place to go to here and this place to go to here. Why am I saying this? Because I always tell people, and one of the inspirations for the roundup is that it's a lot more than medical coding,
Yeah.
right? Revenue cycle is more than medical coding. And I'm not saying that if we were to have a coaching service to help people get them those coding jobs, that wouldn't be a good service. But what if coding is not their skill set? What if
Right.
it's patient registration, trauma registry, in the nursing, what, like, you have that experience so you can speak to that. So that's awesome. That's pretty great.
Yeah, I'm so thankful for those opportunities that I got to just learn from so many different people. I mean, honestly, my strength is in networking and building relationships,
Mm.
those one-on-one things, and I learned so much from people. I say that as a HIM concierge, that I'm not an expert in all of the areas. I'm more like a PCP. Like I'm the person that you come to, and you're like,
Mm.
look, I have a problem, and I can look at you and say, it looks like this is the area that you might want to look into. And because I just so happen to be great at networking, here is somebody that you want to connect with
Yes.
and kind of lead you into the right path. So that's where I get my power from, is just being able to lead people in the right direction. So I'm thankful for that.
Awesome. Awesome. And it's so crazy just how many people that not just we've had on the roundup, but I've also had the pleasure of working with as of recent, that you're part of another team over at the Qualified. So I was like, I talked to Dr. Sabri, I talked to this person, I talked to this person, and then I went on the about page. I'm like, okay, let's see who's here. I was like, almost a lot of people, I've talked to or had the pleasure of working with, and it's like, wow, how could your vibe really bring and be your tribe? But it's awesome that you're also part of that organization, because they can also help with CEs and testing for different
Yeah.
credentials and, and those kinds of things. So it's
Yeah.
fantastic that you're part of that group as well.
Yeah, funny story how I met Dr. Sabri. It was through networking. So one thing about LinkedIn, and I'm glad that we're on LinkedIn Live. I absolutely love LinkedIn. LinkedIn changed my life. So if you are on here and you are not necessarily just like active on LinkedIn, or you're not sharing your voice on LinkedIn, you are doing yourself a disservice. So long story short, I met Dr. Sabri because I put a post out and I was like, hey, I want to do some coffee chats and I want to speak with people that want to speak to me, see if we have a vibe. And Dr. Sabri immediately reached out to me. She was like, hey, what's up? I see you on here and I saw you had this post here, so I want to network with you. So we met offline. We had a coffee chat. We're talking on the phone. I mean, it seemed like it was going on like for hours. Like we were connecting on so many different levels.
Yes.
Ridiculous. And then at that point, she was like, hey, what do you think about being, one of the people on my team? I was like, wait a minute, this is a job interview type of thing. I thought we were just connecting. And so it's just amazing how being able to be authentically yourself, how that can lead to so many different opportunities. So Dr. Sabri is amazing. She's done wonders for my life as well. When I was actually getting started with the business, there was a point where I didn't have my LLC, and she actually me the money to get started with my LLC.
What?
And
yes. Okay, everybody, let's all hit up Dr. Sabri for some money.
Reach out to her right now. But it just shows like the power of connecting and just being connected to the right people. So honestly, if you want to be able to get ahead in your career, it's all about who who you're connected with, being able to be authentically yourself, and it kind of works out from there.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Understatement of the year. And it's so funny because I'm growing my organization. We're looking for the right people. I'm going to meet a lot of the wrong people. I might even hire some of the wrong people during that process, but that's okay because that's what you need to go through if you want to grow through it, right? We tried 5 and 1 didn't work out, and we hired 10 and 3 didn't work out. But at the end, you're going to have pluses. You're going to have gains. You're going to have wins. And I just love, like for me, whenever I'm talking to people, as a part of my organization, it's all about mission. Hey, what are you guys doing? What are you guys going to do? What are you guys looking to do, right? And if it's just simple as to, hey, we're looking to do this, that's fantastic. But when you can align with people that are also a part of your mission and you bring them internally, and then we're all drinking the Kool-Aid per se, and it's a good one. It's not the one that's making our industry sick, but the good one that's actually healthy for us. And it's not Kool-Aid, it's really juice, 100%, man. It's really powerful, and I'm very excited. So more details on that, but let's just focus on you. So one thing I want to talk about really quick, because we're going to have a lot of folks that are struggling, whether it be resumes, applying. What are some very common issues you see with a lot of people that are just starting their HIM career? And a lot of these people could have had previous healthcare experience. Maybe they just got their credential. But what are a couple of the very common things that you see time and time again?
Oh, I would say I just had someone reach out to me, and they are in the banking industry, and they're doing some compliance type work in their industry, and they decide they want to move over to HIM. So one of the things I see a lot of people doing is thinking that they have to start from the bottom just because they are HIM. And so there are a lot of transferable skills that can kind of get you into the position that you want. So for instance, because she had this banking compliance experience, when she matches that with some of the credentials that she's going towards, like the RHIA, some of the compliance credentials from the AAPC, that is a perfect segue for you to use that experience to move over to a compliance type of role. One thing that we have to remember, that regardless of what role that you take, if it's a new role, they're still going to teach you what it is that you need to know. Of course, you need to have those background fundamentals. You need to be able to understand the core functions of the role. But every role that you're going to get some training. So if you don't understand 100%, it's okay to still apply if you have those basic experiences, and it can transfer over. So that's one of the big things I see. Another thing I see is on resumes is that each bullet point they list, they usually just list out the tasks that they do. So I always encourage people to talk about not only what they did, but how they did it. Talk about the systems And also to talk about those results in every bullet point, because we want to be able to look at your resume and see, okay, I know exactly what this person can do. I know exactly what their bandwidth is, and I want to call them in for an interview. So that's important.
Wow. 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 Y'all missed it. I just want to back up a little bit. So I loved your first point as to a lot of people don't think about, let's say, the transferable skills, or they're thinking they're starting from scratch. You're not starting from scratch. And even us as experienced people, recruiters, coders, HIM people, you got that new job, even if you have experience, great and fantastic. What are they going to do? They're going to sit you down. Hey, let's get on the Zoom or whatever, and let's teach you how we do
Yep.
recruiting, sales, whatever it is. So there's always that learning process, because you can do marketing, let's say for this organization at Coca-Cola. I mean, I'm for sure Pepsi does it different. So understanding that, and understanding that you're going to have that sit down anyway to learn how they do it, what systems they have, and there's going to be that training, is perfectly okay. But I love your second point about the resume and your bullet points. I call it telling a story.
Yeah.
I coded ICD-9 to ICD-10 charts using CPT and PCF, blah, 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 blah. Boring. I don't see you. I don't see your personality. I don't see how well you did it. What I did, like even for recruiting, I used to have these what was it? Oh my goodness. I used to have, like, every Monday or Tuesday, I used to have these like hot jobs I used to post. I took the company's internal list of jobs and I summarized it to say, hey, we have, let's say, 20 inpatient and XXXX. And then I'll go to LinkedIn and I'll post it, but I didn't use the company's information. I just took it out. I scripted out the clients, all that stuff. And I said, hey, we have 10 inpatient, this. We need Epic. And people started copying me. And that's something that the company never told us that we had to do. Company didn't pay us to do that. I actually got into work early just so I can do that. But if you can understand my point is the companies want to be able to tell how well you did something, have your wins on there, have your accomplishments on there, have your leadership, even though you were not a leader, whatever you have that is noteworthy. And probably companies want us to stop or not brag about ourselves, but you have to brag about yourself when you're online. You have to brag yourself when it's on your resume. And if you don't take time to kind of like compile it and show that you're an overachiever and also a peak performer, they're not going to believe it. And what, are they going to ask your boss or your references about that? Likely not, and usually, they're not going to go that far. So, wow, crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So with HM Concierge, let's say I'm coming to you. What services could you help me out with? I'm just starting. I want to be a medical coder. How could you help me?
Well, I think it starts first with the conversation. I like to know the clients inside and out. What are your motivations? What do you like to do? What is your daily work looking like? What is it that you eventually want to be able to do? I think that that seems to be a hard question for most people when I ask them what it is that they want to do. I don't know, but they usually know what they don't want to do. They're like, well, I don't want to work with this. I don't want to do that. I'm like, okay, well, that's something. If you know what you don't want to do, then you essentially in ways kind of know what it is that you want to do. And so we kind of work through that, talk about what their career aspirations are. I usually do a skills gap analysis once they figure out exactly what it is they want to do, to kind of see what skills they currently have, what the skills are that they need to develop. And I give them like a roadmap of some of the things that they need to do in order to kind of strengthen those weak areas. I also like to connect them. Like I said, I like to connect them with people who are doing the things that they actually want to be able to do. So I have an extensive network of people because I love people so much. And so I usually connect them with a warm invite. I find that networking is difficult for a lot of people. It's difficult for me too, believe it or not, because I'm an introvert. So networking at events I absolutely hate them, but I know it's a necessary evil.
Yes.
So, I try to be that gap for those that may have, a hard time connecting with people by being that warm invite. But I will share that one tip that I do when I am going to networking events. Sometimes once you register, you actually get a list of the people that are coming out to the organization. And so usually you can get on LinkedIn or some other social site to learn more about some of the people that are actually on that list. Maybe then you can connect with them offline, and then you at least have 2 or 3 people that you can talk to once you actually go to the event. So that's like a little that I do sometimes, but it makes it a lot easier, because if I can find a couple people to talk to, I'm in the door. Yeah.
That is so awesome. I love that tip. And what is it? You're not selling, you're not looking for a job. You're just saying, hey, I saw that you also signed up with me to go to
Yeah,
this conference or convention. I am planning to be there. If you recognize me, see me, hear my voice, whatever, I love to say, hey, I love to put a face to the name, a voice, everything. Let's just let it be it. How
yeah,
genuine of a reach out is that, ladies and gentlemen?
that's
And
it.
who's gonna say no? Or if I
I
see
don't
you, I'm
want
not gonna say hi. Like, no, I'm an introvert as well. And if I could have a
to.
friend when I go there, like that would be awesome.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So I generally find like some of the conferences and things that I go to because they can be pricey. So I usually don't know a lot of people there, but that's my tactic. I just reach out to people before I get there. I have two or three people that I can connect with, and then I kind of vibe with them for the rest of the day or what have you. And then usually based off of those genuine connections that I've met, and you see, two people like in their element, that's when I find that people kind of like gravitate towards it.
Yep.
Always happens. They gravitate towards me, and now I'm meeting 10 or 12 other people because of this genuine connection that I've been able to have. So I encourage introverts to use that as much as possible.
Hey, I want to go to the comments really quick because you're doing fantastic, by the way. We're getting some comments about how your story is very inspiring. John signed on. I'm not sure if you're still here. John, thank you for being here. He said that a lot of what you're saying is so true. Margaret was asking for all of us that are quiet types and struggle with extroverted interactions, let's say more introverted, how do you really socialize? And that's one of the good things is trying your best to have a warm invite, right? But
Yeah.
just when you see people talking, just kind of find a way that you can introduce yourself. And I talk to everybody wherever I go, so I can be getting lemonade. I can be at the table. I'll usually say, hello ladies, how you doing? Or I see a guy, hey, it's another guy, like save me. Like yes, we can go to the restroom together, kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
just find a way to break the awkwardness, and people will also admit that they're awkward, and just
Yeah.
I mean, just kind of like, hey, how are you doing, where are you from, like where are you coming, oh really, how's that going, and were you affected by this, did you hear about this? I heard Bertrand's supposed to speak. I'm not going to go to that session, probably not, but you know what, it's okay, like let's skip it together, like just
Yeah.
find any way that you can connect with people. And what I love about conventions as well is that we're all kind of like in the same place, so what's going to happen, you're likely going to see them again.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you just kind of network that way. But
Yeah.
my tip would be just to say hello, just to have a smile on your face, just to be welcoming,
Yeah.
and try to meet new people. 'Cause that's one of the reasons why you go there. So even if you go with like some of your girlfriends or guy friends kind of thing, like try to sit somewhere or introduce yourself to new people. Um,
Yeah.
man, yeah,
Sometimes I like to be a fly on the wall. So let's say, for instance, if I am going to a networking event and I didn't get to reach out to anyone, or the people who said that they were going to be there weren't there. If I see like a group of people and it sounds like an earshot that they're talking about something interesting, at networking events, they're usually okay with you kind of sitting there and just kind of listening to what they're talking about and just kind of involve yourself. Or if you see people standing up, just kind of be within the area and then kind of ask them more about what they're talking about, when there's a opportunity to kind of break in. So I kind of do that sometimes as well.
yes.
And I love people, so it's really easy for me to speak one on one with people. Like, wow, you have the same color shirt I have on. What's up with that? Or what type stuff like that. So
Yeah,
um, yeah,
break it. Yep,
ice,
break
break
the
the
ice.
I mean,
Absolutely.
people are awkward too, so they're just happy that somebody's talking to them. So I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure, I feel like 90% of the people there are kind of going through the same type of issues. So
correct.
break the ice as much as possible.
Correct. Just saying hello and stuff is fantastic.
Yeah.
One of a memorable visit for me was I was at a new association and I've never been. I knew vendors, I knew recruiters and salespeople, but I was in the sessions just to learn as much as I could. And I just sat at a table that had nobody. A whole group of ladies came and sat around me. They're all nurses and they're talking about work and talking about stuff. And I'm like, hey, it's my first like case management event. I never been. Like, how does it work for you? And what do you see? And I would ask them questions about what the speakers were talking about. Oh, so what about some of these people that come from another country? Let's say they don't have any papers, any finances, any family. Do you have any of those people at your hospital? Yes, we did for 12 years. What 12 years? Like what? And you just naturally have a conversation and what happened and how was it resolute? And even during the sessions, you'll hear these people talk about, yes, Dr. York is fantastic. Well, how do you know about Dr. York? I just met him today. And
Right.
you just kind of have those conversations. Just try to be as natural as possible. Not
Yeah,
pressing, not
absolutely.
asking for a job, just
No, just
learning,
talking.
just talking
Yeah.
to people.
And we're talking so much about introverts, but I know that we have extroverts as well. So if you're an extrovert and you love talking to people and that's kind of your thing, when you see those introverts that are there, do your best to try to include them as well, and be
Yes.
inclusive, and to make it more comfortable for everyone, because everyone is not comfortable being in that environment. So funny story, the way that I met my best friend, we've been best friends for over like 2 decades now, a long, long time. So I saw him because he was a new student to the school in elementary, and he was like standing by himself. And so I went over there to him. I was like, hey, I've never seen you here. And from there, the rest is history, because I extended my hand to them. So if you're an extrovert
Wow.
and you see people just kind of like, a fly on the wall, you see that they're just kind of smiling, but they don't really know what to do, then extend
Hmm.
yourself to them to make it an interesting event for them too. So it's not just on introverts to learn how to be more extroverted, but it's up to extroverts to learn how to, be more inclusive for introverts as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. A lot of gems and a lot of things that I think a lot of us are going to walk away from and just learn from. And if you haven't connected with her already, please reach out to Dr. Moreland. Now, I will let you know here really quick, okay? Just as some feedback. Love
Yeah.
you, everything that you're doing. It's hard to find you on LinkedIn because when I put in
Really?
Shakera, I can't get you. I
That's
need
on
to put
purpose.
in, but why are you hiding? Don't be,
I'm just because I'm an introvert. Don't look at me. Don't,
don't be. But
um,
but you're
yeah,
here. We
I
need
know.
you. We need to be able to connect with you. We don't need to
Yeah,
always have a video chat, but people need to be able to find you. I can literally go to, I can say Shakira Moreland. You're not going to show up. I need to put
no,
in Doctor
yes,
S. Dot K. Dot, like,
yes.
come
And that is
on.
on purpose. But you know what? There's a reason why I did that. So, of course,
Okay.
I go by Shakira. But I often find that when you are a woman and you have a doctorate degree, sometimes if it's not a medical doctorate degree, they don't really acknowledge you by your titles, right? So
Mm,
I go by Dr. SK because I need you to acknowledge, first off, that this is what I've been able to do. This is an accomplishment that I'm proud of. So I'll tell you how I want you to refer to me as. Like you and I, you can call me Shakira because we've
oh no,
established,
no, no. I'm not going to go there.
but we've established
I
that
don't want
decorum.
to get the hand.
You know what I'm saying? We've established that decorum. But if I don't know you, you don't get the opportunity to decide how to address me.
Mm,
So that's why I go by Dr. SK. So make sure that you address me by that first. But if you go by Dr. SK, you'll find me. I'm there. I'm there.
okay, okay. Awesome, awesome. Hey, that was live and unscripted. So I know
It was.
that. Hey, Melissa says, "Hey, you earned that doctorate. Use
Exactly.
it."
She gets it. She gets it.
That's right. That's right. Oh boy, man, I love the roundup for this reason. Just I don't know, like I think I've been missing something. Or no, let me circle back. So all throughout my recruiting career, I've just loved connecting with people, learning about them, where they've come from, where they're at, how I can kind of help them. And if we can't help each other, if I can't help them, you know what? Fantastic. At least I got to know one more person, and maybe we'll get you on the
Right.
next round, right? I reconnected with a coder that I've known for a long time. I've been working on my business. We kind of disconnected. She had some family stuff going on as well. Everything's fine, but we reconnected. I think it was yesterday, right? And it's like, what? You're back at the health system? She's like, yeah, they hired me back. I'm like, isn't it crazy? You did that, and then you did the consulting thing, and then this, and that, and now you're back, right? And just talking to her, it was just like very revealing to me as to how our journeys can kind of come full circle, right?
Yeah.
But you know, as much time as we spend in this industry, and maybe I'm just getting old, I am valuing the relationships a lot more,
Yeah.
And for example, I didn't get the chance to work with Miss Ridley. Maybe on the next go around, if we get a second chance at this thing called live, but I would have loved to get a chance to work with her. But the timelines didn't connect, right? So, but maybe I'll work with somebody coming up after her or those others. But I do believe a lot of the folks that I'm having on the roundup, like yourself, are going to be the Miss Ridleys of the future,
Yeah.
because you just have that personality, and now we have something called social media that we can use not just for ourselves but also to push people up. I love commenting on entry level coding stuff when I see it and helping people. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm connected with like 100 recruiters, salespeople, and business people that have staffing firms. So when I comment and I say, hey, this is an HIM person, or recruiters, look out, I know a lot of recruiters look at my posts because they know that I'm open to share, and believe me, my business is full. Like we are good, like everything's fantastic. But if we can help out these people that need it, because I needed that myself when I started so long ago, right? So
Mhm.
it's just crazy. Well, I got
Yeah.
to let you go because we are getting close to that time, but I don't want to keep you too long. What would you like to say in closing? And we'll likely have you on season 2. That's going to be
Yeah.
probably the fall season. But what would you like to say, in closing, as to just everything that you're doing or some things that you're recently helping some folks out with out there in the space?
I would say to those that are listening that are new, or you're trying to figure out what it is that you're trying to do next, or it's something that you want to do and you're afraid to do it, is to not ask for permission. A lot of times I have people that come to me and say, this is what I want to do, but I'm not doing it because, I haven't been hired in this position. You don't have to have permission to do what it is that you want to do. Before I started HIM Concierge Services, there was no HIM Concierge. I created it out the blue. I said, this is what I want to do, and this is how I want to do it. So I created the space for myself. So for you, if you are an entry-level person and you want to be a coder, you don't have to wait for a position to come to you to be a coder. Just be a coder. What are some of the things that coders do? Do the thing that coders do. If you want to be in CDI, what are some of the things that CDI folks do? Do that. You don't have to wait for someone to give you permission to do those things. You seek out opportunities that's going to allow you to strengthen that skill set. And then before long, you'll be able to do the thing that you said that you wanted to do. So I think that that's the biggest takeaway, is to learn more about yourself, learn more about what really makes you happy. I think there are two types of people in the job market. You either have those that are looking to make more money, or you have those that are looking to be more purpose driven, which is okay, either way that you want to do it. But just understand what your motivations are, understand what you're good at, and then kind of work your way and use those skills that you have to get what it is that you want. If you're really great at connecting with people, how can you use your connection with people to get into the type of roles that you do? What type of roles are going to allow you to connect with people? If you prefer to do more analytical things, what type of roles are going to allow you to be more analytical and use those gifts? So those are the two pieces of advice I can give. Is to, number one, is to don't ask for permission to do what it is that you want to do, and for number two, it's to work in those strengths that you have.
Awesome. Hey, we have Elizabeth on YouTube, and she commented, you worked hard for your doctorate. So if she sees you at a conference, she'll make sure she calls you Dr. SK.
Yes.
Elizabeth, thank you for the comment. Hey, we appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for being on here today. Thank you for coming out of your element and just being here to serve. We look forward to seeing you on season 2. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't reached out, to make sure you find her, Dr. SK Moreland on LinkedIn. Connect with her, let her know that you saw her on the roundup, and she was fantastic. She should for sure come back to season 2. Another comment here. You're very welcome. You're awesome, Dr. SK. Margaret says as well, thank you so much for your sharing your time and talent with us today. So if you can stay on, and if you want to go into the comments, you can do that. If you want to, go off and get back to work and do what you have to do, that is fantastic as well. But we just really appreciate you. Thank you for being here. And I don't think we could have planned, scheduled, and had a template and guidelines for a better roundup. So it was just really natural, and we appreciate you being here.
Thank you. I think I'll stick around for a little bit. My battery might die, but I'm going to try to plug it in and
All right, we'll take you off camera, but you can for sure be in the comments. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you reach out to her and you find her as Dr. SK. All right. Thank you again. Bye-bye. Wow. Crazy. I just love the roundup. I mean, yeah, enough things that cannot be said. Now, I have to hide something on here because that's a little confidential information. I took some notes, ladies and gentlemen, my little chicken scratch. And yeah, that's what it's all about. I think I shared with you, I was at a meeting at a local speaking event for AAPC, and one of the directors there said that she recognized she was going to meetings and all of the fellow directors were taking notes. So when she was just not a manager and wanted to be a manager and director, she started taking notes, and soon after long she got her director position. So take notes. It helps out a lot. Okay. All right. Let's keep it going. All right. Cool. So for the jobs and opportunities, let's go ahead and let's share some of these that I saw. So if you haven't heard on Renown Talent, Renown.com/careers. We do have an entry-level credentialed medical coding position, no experience required. These are for future job openings that we're going to have, and I'm sure we're going to have plenty of them. If you haven't applied yet, make sure you apply. Make sure we have your most updated resume, your contact information, as well as your location, and we'll be in touch with you when we have more updates to follow on that. That's going to be a whole different conversation. I think I might even plan a roundup scheduled about what that is, what that's going to look like, what that's going to entail, and all of those things. So I'm not here to answer any of those questions just yet, but if you haven't applied and if you're looking for your first entry-level position, let's say you have less than 3 years of experience, but you have a credential, please make sure that you do apply, okay? Also want to share a couple of positions here. We have an Epic analyst with DaVita. We also have a director of case management position with HCA. So you can see Darius as well. Darius as well as Jason. Make sure you connect with them for those opportunities if it may be a good fit, something you're looking into. As well as Danielle has an HCC risk adjustment coder position. I think this was posted from a few days ago, but if it's still open, please reach out. As well as Danielle had an HM supervisor position. This is an on-site position, but that's why location is very important. So if that might be what you're looking for or open to, please apply. All right, so for the Ask Mr. B, my question for you, instead of the question coming to me, my question for you for this roundup is who wrote your resume? And what I mean by this is I'm more talking about identity as to regards to the resume. Because let's say I am a barista at Starbucks or anywhere, right? And I'm writing a resume to become a medical coder. Is it a medical coder that's writing the resume, or is it a barista? Because a barista is going to look for things and put the formatting and what they believe is important for the job as to what a barista would versus a medical coder. And there's almost a little and mini identity crisis that happens for applicants. So I would love for each and every one of you, before you start putting out your first resumes within revenue cycle as entry-level coder, whatever it is, for you to have that resume kind of mirror what a current medical coding professional resume would be like. And that's where a mentor can be very important. And just say like, hey, I'm trying to do this, but I've heard from Bertram that my resume is more likely looking like somebody in my former or current career is looking for, not what a medical coder is going to look like. Would you mind if I got a look at your resume, a copy of your resume, or could you review my resume and edit it, like cross it out and make notes and like tear it up if you need to, but like help me with this resume because this is what my former career or what I know within my industry, what would be very important. If you do that, I'm telling you, there's a lot of success in that. And as Dr. Moreland said a little bit earlier, Dr. S.K. Moreland will be specific. Does it tell your story? Does it tell how well you did the things that you did within your duties, not just that you did them? Hey, I filed papers and I got this done. Well, I don't really know about that. We had a backlog of this much. We had all of these papers. They weren't in boxes. I put them in boxes, labeled them, got them to the storage area. Then I assisted the external vendor for offsite storage because we had a whole thing for 7 or so years. That is a story. And that is that's what I'm talking about. You want to try your best for every position that you have listed and duties that you have listed to show that you excelled and that you saved the company this much money, you made them this much money, you got the paper out the door, whatever it is. Show us as employers that you went above and beyond. And as I mentioned, try your best to make sure it's peer reviewed. Hey, I'm connected with a few coders, or I go to my local association. Would you mind looking at my resume? Bertram offered a resume review because he spoke at my chapter. Particularly look at my resume. I think I'm pretty much caught up on those, but if I'm not, keep me honest, reach out, let me know. But have people look at your resume. Don't have the hiring manager or the recruiter be the first person to look at it because they're not even going to consider you. They're just going to say, and you're not going to get any feedback because as it's peer reviewed by the people or in the positions that you're working towards or applying for, they'll be able to let you know what works and what doesn't work. And you know what? The person that you're talking to might not even necessarily be looking for a job. So for them to share their resume with you is perfectly fine. It's like, well, it's not like I'm applying for a job too. Cool. We're not competing. So we should be able to collaborate to help me with this. So find your champions and find those people that can help you at least peer review your resume and all of those fantastic things. Okay. Gabrielle said that she submitted her resume and we just got connected today. Gabrielle, please, your mission right now for you and I think I shared it in the comments. I'm not sure if you commented on the comment I shared. You want to grow your network. The more network, the larger your network, the more opportunities you'll see, the more jobs you'll see, the more people that will share with you. And we have a really good group. Jennifer, who was it? Melissa. We have Margaret. We have Chrissy. These are a lot of people that are part of my network on here that they've gone together and they've helped each other kind of like get jobs, and they're networking. And you're not going to be able to be a part of that if you don't increase your network. So your job right now, and I know in the comments you mentioned that it's a little bit hard for you. It's okay. It's hard for all of us. But you know what? I saw in the roundup, Bertram said we should connect. What's up? Just go out there. Just reach out and see what happens. Right? Almost like planting seeds. See what fruit it bears. Okay? But thanks for being here. I know that we just connected, so it's nice for you to join. Cool. Melissa also shared that hers needs work, but she did have somebody in coding rewrite her resume. Fantastic. That's great. And Elizabeth on YouTube shared that her sister rewrote her resume and got her current position at a health system. Congratulations. You just made your 2-year anniversary. I'm wondering, is your sister, or does your sister work within revenue cycle? That's kind of like my question. I'm just wondering. Oh, and John said that he sent you a connection request. Thank you for doing that. All right. So the talent showcase. Is there anyone looking for a new job and opportunity? This is your chance. I mean, we're going to be offline, at least in the roundup sense. We're going to be offline for at least probably a couple months. So speak now and or forever hold your peace, as they say. But I'll love to hear from you and share your information. I see that we have Jennifer. She has her CPCA, looking for her first opportunity, either in billing, AR, prior authorization, HCC, claim review. She's in Athens, and this is her email address. Okay. Hold on. Let me just go back. Let me see if we have anyone else. We have Jennifer here, CPCA from Orlando, 16 years of surgery experience, and this is her email. Thank you for joining. Let's see. John, I have a quick question for you if you're still online. How many people reach out to you for your CERC because you have your CERC credential? And do you do anything with that in terms of working? And Elizabeth, thank you for sharing the weather. 68 degrees. I love 68 degrees right now in Florida, but we are getting hot and humid, and it's it's Florida. What else can I say? And Rose, thank you for coming. I know you've been coming to the roundup for a little while, so I'll miss some of you, but it doesn't mean we're going to be gone forever. We are going to definitely have a lot of interesting updates and things to share over the summer. So Melissa's like, no, yes, we'll miss you too. Margaret shares that she's finishing her internship and she's looking for her first coding role. Yolanda would love to get into auditing anesthesia. Ooh, okay. So Falana, hopefully I said that correctly. She's looking for her first position within medical altogether. Okay. And Gabrielle says that she'll take our advice. John, 5 a day, meaning try your best to try to make 5 new connections today. Just send out 5 new connections today. Melissa is looking for her first entry-level position. John says he's neck deep in CERC and tied down. So what he's referring to, the CERC is more of an interventional radiology, I believe, a certification. And I've heard that there's been a shortage of those folks that can do it. And I've also seen a lot of posts from recruiters and my fellow business owners within HAM staffing, recruiting, looking for these individuals. And it's funny. I can always tell how hard a position is when I reach out to people and they don't respond. It means they're getting a lot of reach outs for that very thing. Being on here, I think I'm a lot more approachable than other recruiters and salespeople, for example. But if they're not responding, it means that they don't even want to talk about it. So that's very telling in itself. All right. And Jennifer, sorry, Betty. Hey y'all. How you doing? You're saying it's not so bad down here. I don't know. I've been in love with the weather we've had as of recent. And I'm probably bragging because we are usually not in 70s even past like February. By February, it's usually the oven is on, right? So I'm a little bit spoiled. It's April and we still have some pretty good weather. It's not that bad, especially in the mornings. It's fantastic. I open all the windows in my house, every single one. Kids are freezing. I don't care. It's just open the windows, put on a jacket. So I love it when it gets cooler here. Margaret, here is your email. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, APC, CPC for 14 years. Experience as a vet tech. There are a lot of probably transferable skills with that. And Jennifer, I think I shared this. Maybe not. Madison, Wisconsin, 2 years, looking for outpatient or inpatient. Okay. And hi, y'all. Hey, y'all. From Betty. So if you didn't see the post just yet, there is a chance for you to get 3 AHIMA CEUs. This is a conference taking place next week, Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be speaking on the first block. And look at this. We will also have Leslie and Dr. Sabri on there as well. So I have the link. I'm going to go ahead and share the link in the comments. If you haven't registered yet, please register. This is a free event for you to attend as well as get those CEs. So please attend, come, share some love, show us that you'll be there. And yeah, it's a free event. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It does start a little bit early. So next week, Thursday from 9 to 12, I believe. So I'm doing the first session, then 10 o'clock, then 11 o'clock session. But if you can attend, it's a business conference. What are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about all about business. So my speaking event is going to be all about the things I wish I would have known in regards to starting my own business and my entrepreneur journey in HIM RCM. Going to be really high, like, how can I say, very informational for a lot of you and probably give you some things that you might not have thought about. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is it. I have really appreciated season 1 on the Roundup. I've made so many connections. Not only are these connections helping my personal life, my professional life, helping us grow our company, but also as our company grows, is also enriching the lives of my employees and the clients that we serve. So my feedback from Roundup season 1 is just keep it moving, keep it going. We have to go into a lab because just personally and professionally, we are going to be so busy. I hired and we started 2 new people to join our organization this week. I mean, it's so busy. It's a little bit overwhelming. And I appreciate each and every one of you. So, let's stay in touch. I know a lot of connections also are at or just coming back from HealthCon in Vegas. I am looking and hopefully it will be out there next year. But you know what, though? It's okay. We're just going to keep it moving. We're going to have so many chances to continue networking and meeting each other. But I appreciate each and every one of you because I know any day that we had the Roundup, you could have been doing something else, right? Because everything is a priority and, you don't really have to be here. We don't offer CEs. We don't really offer much benefit besides some of the information and knowledge that we share in the networking opportunity. But I really appreciate each and every one of you. It has not been easy to have this, especially in everything that we're doing. But seeing how a lot of you have been able to go out and get jobs and just increase whatever you wanted to do and your network is rewarding in itself. So I love and I appreciate each and every one of you. I look forward to seeing you on future speaking events on LinkedIn. Believe me, I'm not going to stop posting on LinkedIn. I'm still going to be posting on LinkedIn, connecting with people, promoting people, helping people. And I appreciate each and every one of the speakers we had on the Roundup because you decided to come out of your time, out of your business, out of time with your family to be on the Roundup. It is impacting the people that need to hear some of our stories. Because when you're going through something, that I think the hardest thing is you think it's only you. But when you realize that other people have had this, or you can share as to how you were able to come out of it, right? And you were inspired to come out of it, that it gives them hope, that gives them promise, and that uplifts them so they can push forward, So I really appreciate you. I just want to go back to a couple questions. Well, sorry. Couple comments. Melissa says, appreciate you, Bertram. I appreciate you. Betty as well. Appreciate you as well. She was also one of the speakers on the Roundup. I don't know who you are. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Bertram. Always helpful. And Jennifer shared that she also sees leaving the Roundup feeling extremely hopeful and positive. And thanks for also sharing your wonderful energy. Thank you so much. I really appreciate each and every one of you. All right. We're going to go. I appreciate you. I'll see you on LinkedIn. Continue connecting. Continue to reach out. Continue to grow your network. Just believe me. everything that you're looking for, somebody else has or wants to give away or get rid of it. So you just need to find out who those people are and just network with them. And also, when you get the thing that you're looking for, try your best to help somebody else, because there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people going through and experiencing the same thing that you're doing. Maybe you start your own business like Dr. S.K. Moreland did. Maybe you start your own agency like Bertrand Lansico did. Or maybe within, as an entrepreneur, we like to call them these days, within your company, you can be that person that shares out hope, like Mrs. Ridley. Miss Ridley was so awesome, and she was so nice to a lot of people. I was really like saddened by her passing, but I'm so happy to know that she's in a better place, a peaceful place, and we are still talking about her today. So I appreciate each and one of you. I'll talk to you a little bit later. Bye-bye.